Ethan stood alone on the edge of a cliff, gazing up at the vast, endless night. The city lights twinkled far below, casting a faint glow, while above him stretched an infinite canvas dotted with stars, each a point of light from another world, another time. Ethan had come here, seeking something. Though he couldn't quite name it, his life had begun to feel like a series of disconnected events, an endless loop of work, bills, and empty conversations. He felt small and insignificant. What was he in the grand scheme of things? Just a single, inconsequential human on a small planet circling an average star in one of billions of galaxies. The universe was incomprehensibly vast, and he was nothing. He closed his eyes, inhaling the cool night air, trying to quiet the restless thoughts gnawing at him for days. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he heard the voice of his college philosophy professor reminding him, "You are the universe experiencing itself, Ethan." At the time, that idea seemed ridiculous. Ethan was a concrete thinker. He liked numbers, systems, and things he could touch and hold. Lately, however, something had shifted within him, a stirring of curiosity and a quiet desire to understand the things that lay beyond his everyday life. Tonight, he was desperate to find an answer to anything that could ease the ache of feeling lost in an uncaring world. A faint rustling sound snapped him out of his thoughts. He turned to see an elderly man walking along the trail. The man had silver hair, wild and untamed, and wore a faded sweater that hung loosely over his frame. He seemed out of place, almost otherworldly, as though he were a part of the night itself. "It's a beautiful night," the man said, his voice soft yet deep, carrying a warmth that instantly put Ethan at ease. Ethan nodded. "Yeah, it's just hard to wrap my head around it sometimes. It's so vast." The old man smiled knowingly and stepped closer, gazing at the stars as old friends. "You know, they say that the atoms in your body were forged in the hearts of stars. You and I were made of stardust. We're not separate from the universe. We are the universe." The words hit Ethan with a weight he hadn't expected. He had heard similar ideas before, but they had always felt like abstract concepts, removed from reality. But it felt different here, beneath the stars, with this stranger by his side. It felt real. The man continued, "We spend so much of our lives thinking of ourselves as separate, small, and disconnected from everything around us. But in reality, we are part of an intricate, unfathomable whole. The same force that drives the stars and spins galaxies is alive within us." Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine, not from the cold but from the quiet power of the man's words. He struggled to process them and let the idea's weight sink into his being. But how can that be? How can I, a single person, be the same as the stars? The man chuckled softly. "Think of it like this. A wave in the ocean is still part of the ocean, even if it's only a tiny part of it. You're a wave, Ethan, a unique expression of the universe, experiencing itself in this particular form. But you are not separate from the ocean. You are part of it." They stood silently for a moment, the vastness of the night pressing in around them. Ethan felt as though a door had opened within him, as though he were seeing his own life from a new perspective. He was not alone. He was not separate. He was the universe in human form, a ripple in the cosmic sea. "But what does that mean?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "What do I do with that?" The man looked at him, his eyes gleaming with a light that seemed to come from some hidden source. "It means you have a purpose, Ethan, but it's not the kind of purpose you have been taught to look for. Your purpose isn't something you find, it's something you are. It's about being. It's about living in a way that fully and freely allows the universe to experience itself through you. Ethan felt a deep calm settle over him, a sense of clarity that was both humbling and empowering. He had spent so much of his life searching for meaning, trying to figure things out, and constantly worrying about what he was supposed to become or achieve. But perhaps he had been looking in the wrong direction all along. "What if I don't know how to do that?" he asked, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his voice. The man smiled, placing a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You already know. You just need to remember. Trust your instincts. Listen to the quiet voice within you. The universe didn't create you by accident, Ethan. Every thought you have, every dream, and every fear are all part of its design. You don't need to fight them or change them. You must let them be. In doing so, you let yourself be." Ethan felt something shift inside him as the man spoke, a gentle yet profound letting go. He didn't have all the answers, and maybe he never would. But perhaps that was okay. Perhaps life wasn't about finding answers, but embracing the questions, letting them unfold naturally, like the stars moving across the sky. He looked back at the man, gratitude filling his heart. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I understand." The man gave a slight nod, his eyes shining. "Remember, Ethan, every thought, every feeling, and every experience you have contributes to the whole. You are the stars, the earth, the sky, and everything in between. You are a story that the universe is telling itself." With that, the man turned back down the trail, disappearing into the shadows. Ethan watched him go, feeling a strange sense of peace settle over him. He looked back at the sky, feeling that he genuinely belonged for the first time. As he made his way back down the path, he felt the weight of his worries begin to lift. He didn't need to figure everything out. He didn't need to have all the answers. He was part of something much more significant than himself, which was enough. In the days that followed, Ethan found himself seeing the world differently. The minor frustrations, doubts, and worries still came but didn't feel as heavy. He listened to his intuition more, trusting the quiet voice that nudged him toward joy and peace. Life wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was his, and he was no longer searching for meaning outside of himself. He was the universe, and that knowledge filled him with a sense of purpose he had never known. In that quiet realization, he discovered something precious. He was already complete, whole. He was, and always would be, the universe experiencing itself beautifully, imperfectly, and profoundly. Subscribe for more videos. Thank you.